Hey, what's up? It's me, Uncle Ricky. Welcome to another episode of Uncle Ricky's House. We're going to talk about some changes, and the reason these changes are being made is going to result in probably the downfall and perhaps the legal prosecution of another prominent right-wing figure. But it's not anybody from the legislative or former executive branch. It's not any current politician on either side. It's someone from the third branch of the government, the judicial branch, the Supreme Court Justice, in particular Clarence Thomas. Now, we all know that, post January 6th, Jenny Thomas's name started getting involved in a lot of stuff because of her relationship. And we still don't understand how far that goes, because out of all the people, all the lawyers, all the politicians that have gone down for their relationship with Trump leading up to the election and post-election, Jenny Thomas's name came up. There was a definite connection. She had definite energy involved in it. But then all of a sudden, they stopped talking about her. But at that time, it kind of shined a light on her husband, and now we know that her husband has been involved with, rich people like Harlan Crow and his buddies that, run the Federalist Society. And the Federalist Society whole point is to weaponize the Justice Department and the federal bench by getting ultra right-wing conservative justices installed, so that the majority of the decisions that come down from the federal justice system, federal judges, will be hardcore right-wing decisions in favor of hardcore right-wing causes. And true to form, it seems that Clarence Thomas has been obedient, dutiful. And, originally people kind of tried to say that it was due to the way he was brought up, in Georgia, coming up through the racial segregation in the South and poverty, and that formed, his pull yourself up out of the bootstraps and just put your head down and persevere and grind out. And you don't need all these breaks. You don't need affirmative act. You don't need none of this stuff to succeed. You will get by. Well, it seems that Clarence Thomas really didn't get by on his own, and he's not getting by on his own now. He's being financed by the people that have their hand up his butt, moving his lips, making him say the things that they want to be heard in order to have their way. Clarence Thomas has been on the bench for 30-some years, has never recused himself in any case, and now it's coming out, it's being made public, that a lot of the cases that he represented, that he heard, were cases that his wife was a consultant to. She didn't represent him in before the justices in the Supreme Court, but she was advising the people that were bringing the cases, the lawyers that were actually trying the cases. Now, I guess even to a fifth grader, there might be like, well, how could she be his wife and he be, and he's making the decisions? Hey, that's what the whole country wants to know now. And they want to know because the Supreme Court only has like a 23-25% favorability rating, and that's lower than any other branch of the government. And the Supreme Court is the branch that's supposed to be about protecting our legal system. In other words, keeping justice blind, unbiased, and making those hard decisions on whatever that comes their way. Well, it doesn't seem to be that way, and they have a majority Republican voting bloc or decision-making bloc, and it seems that, because of the way the Supreme Court selects its cases, that over the past 20, 30 years, they've been spoon-fed different cases by different causes, hoping that they would get picked up. And when they got picked up, that the conservative voting bloc that they have now, they haven't always had that, but now that they haven't, can use those cases to overturn precedent, overrule laws, and basically take the country back to Leave It to Beaver days. And that's the whole purpose of Clarence Thomas. And it seems that he's done his job well, and he has been paid well. $500,000 vacations for him and his family. Summers with the boys up in the Adirondacks at private retreats, just him and the boys drinking, brandy and smoking cigars. But yet and still, Clarence Thomas just wants the country to believe that he's just a simple country boy with conservative values, and he's an RV type. He's an RV type. He doesn't really want to be with the rich. He just doesn't want to be with the poor. He just wants to represent the common man. And that's not how it seems to be. The list of things that have been done for Clarence Thomas for no apparent reason other than Clarence Thomas is who he is and sits where he does is long. And it's wrong. And now, because the court is where it is, and the cry to increase the size of the court, which would break that stranglehold that the conservative right has on the Supreme Court. And these justices are there for life. So even if they lose the justice, they still have the majority until somebody dies. And if that person dies at the right time, there'll be a Republican president in the White House. So they just put up another person. But if all of Clarence Thomas's dirt comes to light, and nothing happens to Clarence Thomas to, take the spotlight off the court itself and put it squarely on Clarence Thomas, they're going to light a fire under that cry to increase the size of the Supreme Court, and that ability to create that voting bloc will be lost, and it will take years to regain it. And most of the people that are trying to manipulate stuff and be in power now to make it in their favor, they won't even be alive then, so it doesn't matter. They want to control things right now. They want to keep it the way it is. And so if they sacrifice Thomas, if they just let Thomas go and face what he deserves, criminal prosecution, and this, being kicked off the bench, it's not going to affect them, because the right now it's a 6-3 majority. If they lose Thomas, it's a 5-3 majority. If they replace Thomas now under Biden Harris, if Biden wins the next election and Harris replaces him, because did I say that wrong? I'm sorry. If Biden replaces him, if he's still living, they'll still have the majority. It'll be 5-4. But if they increase the number of justices, it's just going to blow that death grip that they have, that the ultra-right conservative moneymakers have on the Supreme Court. So it seems that all the ultra-right wing players, either collectively or individually, are picking cases to distance themselves from Thomas, to make the left be the majority. The decisions go in favor of the left-wing cause. And they allow Thomas to put the target squarely on his back by letting him write the dissent. And even when they don't let him write the dissent, Thomas is so full of himself, he feels that he has to make his opinion known, which puts the spotlight squarely on him. Thomas, just like his wife's favorite person, Donald John Trump, is his own worst enemy. because of who he is and what he thinks that he is, he feels like he can duck and dodge and manipulate the system to his own will. Recently, they were all the justices turned in, basically their expense accounts. They reported, outside income, gifts, and all that. Magically, even after all the stuff that's come out about Thomas and Harlan Crow and all that, Thomas didn't file his. Basically, he told the people, "You gotta wait. I don't have all the. It's not ready." Basically, he patted the bureaucrats on the head and just told them to go away, because he doesn't think that he knows that he can't, because he's involved up to his neck. But when it goes down, people like Harlan Crow are just going to go away for a while. They got enough money to go to Mexico or whatever and live for a year or two until it all boils over. But Thomas, he can't run. They are going to make a scapegoat out of him just to improve the popularity rating of the Supreme Court. And you know what? I don't care. I think he has to. If he has to go this way, fine, let him go. But let him go now. Get rid of him now while there is the other party in the White House. If they get rid of Thomas now, I don't think McConnell can pull the same stunt that he pulled on Obama when a right-wing judge died and Obama had to fill that seat, and they denied Merrick Garland the seat for a year until the election. And then guess who came to dinner? Donald John. And then he puts in 3 hood-wearing personas. It's a game of numbers. It's a judicial game of stratego, and it just points out how twisted America really is. But however it goes down, if it goes down, when it goes down, we will be rid of Clarence Thomas. And personally, I'm willing to let that happen just to see him go bye-bye. Think about it, meditate on it, get back to me. I don't know, maybe I'm wasting my time, but whatever. I love y'all. Peace out and God bless from Uncle Ricky at Uncle Ricky's house.